Hey guys, haven't done a video in a while, but today I'm going to make spaghetti and meatballs. So I guess this includes the meatballs and the sauce that I make. If anybody is watching, let me know if you can hear me okay. Let's get started. So I am starting with about 1 1/4 pounds of ground beef and about 3/4 pounds of turkey, ground turkey, lean turkey. So you can use Italian sausage or beef and pork or whatever meat you really want to use, or all beef, doesn't matter. So that's this here, and just like I said, it's 3/4 pound of turkey and about 1 1/4 pounds of ground beef. A long time ago, I started doing a gluten-free diet, so I started using oats instead of breadcrumbs. So on top of that, I have here about 1 1/2 cups of rolled oats, and then I have a bell pepper and a small onion out of my garden. My husband does not like peppers and onions, but he doesn't care about the taste. He just doesn't like the texture. So I'm gonna put the onion and peppers and the oatmeal in a food processor. Let's give me just a minute to do that. Doesn't look very appealing, but it works. So this is 1 bell pepper and 1 onion. Doesn't really matter what size. If you don't like either one, don't put either one in. But I highly suggest, if you don't use onions, use onion powder. I just like the way peppers taste in meatballs and meatloaf. So I'm gonna add this in here. The oats actually soak up the juice, like the broth and stuff, and kind of help thicken the meatballs so they don't fall apart. And the eggs also do, they bind it. So from here, I will add, I'll go over it again real quick. I have about 1 1/4 pounds of ground beef in here, about 3/4 pounds of ground turkey, and I just added in some rolled oats, onion, and bell pepper that I just mixed up in the processor. So my next step is I add some eggs. I just add 2 eggs, about 1 egg per pound, I guess. And then, hold on. Gotta wash my hands. I add some ketchup. Can't really tell you how much, but maybe 1/4 cup. And then a couple teaspoons of mustard. Might have been a tablespoon. And then a few dashes of Worcestershire sauce. This is my recipe, by the way. I just made it up a long time ago. That's just what I use. So I have onion powder here. I'm going to add onion powder. Oh, wrong side. Garlic powder. I like garlic. And some salt. I forgot one thing. This is kosher salt. And some pepper. All right, at this point, make sure you take your rings off because it gets mushy and cold. So we're gonna mix this all together really good. I got the water boiling already, started anyway for my noodles. So I'm trying to make this efficient. The only thing is, I can't show you the end when we're done. Unless you want to stay online the whole time. I could let it stay online, I guess, so you can see the end of it. But you check in periodically. Can everybody hear me okay? Let me know if you hear me. Okay. This is actually the same recipe that I use for meatloaf, guys. So it tastes just as good. I'll go over the ingredients again for any new watchers. But this is about 1 1/4 pounds of ground beef and 3/4 pounds of turkey, 1 1/2 cups of rolled oats, 1 bell pepper, 1 onion. I take the bell pepper, onion, and oatmeal and I mix it up in the food processor to get it kind of pureed, I guess, kind of. And then I add salt, pepper, garlic, and garlic, and onion powder, and I add ketchup, mustard, and Worcestershire sauce. And like I said, as far as the meat goes, you can use any combination of meat you want. I use turkey and beef, but you could use beef and pork, or you can use sausage, Italian sausage and pork, all pork, all turkey, whatever, doesn't matter. So however big you make these, up to you. I like them about 1.5 inches. It's kind of gooey and gross. So just roll these up easy, put them in a bowl. I normally just stick them in a pan, but I'd rather do all that at one time so you can see. There's the boring part, watching me roll meatballs. I think I will put these in the pan. It'd be a lot easier than transferring them. Give me 1 second. Nice big pan. I'm gonna make my sauce in the same pan. So if you choose that route, make sure there's enough room for your sauce after you put the meatballs in. Oh, I also forgot to mention I put 2 eggs in this. So there's also 2 eggs. I have this recipe on my blog. I have a recipe blog. And I'll put it in the comments afterwards, but it's www.christiesgeteat, it's GETEAT.blogspot.com. But I have meatballs on there. And I think when I created that in the body of that recipe, I also mentioned you use the same recipe for meatloaf. So you could make this, use part of it for meatballs and the other part for meatloaf if you feel like it. There's really no solid recipe for this. You kind of just make it how you like the taste. But I just made it up a long time ago, but it works really well and everybody loves it. When I make meatloaf, I shape it the way I want, and I cook it on a cookie rack, a cooling rack, on a pan in the oven to keep it from pooling in the oil and the grease. So I don't like greasy food like that, so I do it that way. It works really well, and it gives it kind of a nice little crust on it. And then when it gets close to the end, I could put ketchup all over it and bake the ketchup on it. I think that's the only way to have meatloaf, but some people like it with brown gravy. I think it's weird, but you know, to each his own. Does anybody have questions so far while I'm rolling these up? I'll put the, if you don't I'm gonna put the recipe link on in the comments, but I'll also put the ingredients in there. This is a 93.7 ground beef, and it's 97% fat-free turkey, I believe. It's pretty lean. The leaner your meat, the more oatmeal and eggs I suggest you add, because the lean meat doesn't stick together as good as the fat meat. Like I said, I don't really like fatty foods like that. So, I mean, these are so lean. I don't even drain the grease when I'm done. I just put the sauce right in it. Hopefully, my battery don't go dead. No questions from anybody? So I'm getting a little tight in space, but one of the keys to cooking the meatballs is to let them cook a while before turning them over or doing anything. If you start trying to turn them over too soon, they break up in little pieces. So you gotta let them get a good cook on one side. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these on. My pan is full, and then when it starts cooking up, I'll put the rest of my meatballs in there. I'll put the rest of them in here. My water's boiling. I'm about to put my noodles on. So I'm going to put the noodles in now in my boiling water. So you're going to boil the water and put salt in it. I break my spaghetti in half. I like to buy the pot-sized spaghetti because I don't have to break it in half, but I couldn't find any last time. Same price or cheaper. Making about a pound of spaghetti. Some people put oil in their water. I just use salt, and as long as you stir it when you first put it in there, stir it a few times after that, it doesn't usually stick. Oil floats anyway, so I don't know how that works. Finish rolling these meatballs, and then I can take a look at our cooking meatballs. I got them on the heat about medium. Does anybody have any questions? Hey, Batu. So I got a pan of meatballs cooking right now. I'm just rolling the rest of the meat up, and after those other meatballs get a little cook on them, I'll add the rest of the meatballs to them so they don't stick together. Become one big meatball. Alright. Woo! Almost had a disaster. Lost my ring. In the meatballs I have, they're cooking now, so in the meatballs I used about 1 1/4 pounds of lean ground beef and about 3/4 ground of lean ground turkey, but you can use all beef or all turkey or all pork and beef or however you want to mix it up. You can pork and turkey if you feel like it. I took about, so it was about 2 pounds of meat total. And then I used about 1 1/2 cups of rolled oats and 1 pepper, 1 green pepper, 1 onion, and I put those in the food processor because Joe doesn't like peppers and onions. Hey Kai! So he doesn't care about the taste, so I just mix them all up. Put that in there, and then I added about 1/4 cup of ketchup, about a tablespoon of mustard, about 6 or 7 dashes of Worcestershire sauce, some salt, pepper, ground garlic, and ground onion. And that is what I have in there now. So that's all in the pan. Whatever, Kai. Every time you come home, you ask about my food. Say hey, Pawpaw. All right, y'all. Food is cooking. Let me lower this a little bit. That's not what I want to do. All right, so here we go. Kai, you know you wish you were here eating this. Anyway, meatballs are cooking. Once they get a little more cooked, I'll add the rest of the meatballs. I got this on medium heat. My noodles are cooking. Once the meatballs get done, I'm gonna add all the sauce. It's a little bit long video, so if people want to log back in a little bit later, it's fine. Again, this recipe is also the same one I use for my meatloaf, and the recipe is on my blog, which I'll put in the comments, but my blog is www.christiesgeteat.blogspot.com. christiesgeteat.com. I can't even say it. www.christiesgeteat.blogspot.com. So I think maybe I will log off for a few minutes and come back on, or I'll just let it stay on here until it's done. So if you guys want to step away and come back in like 7, 8 minutes, we should have some good cook on this meatballs. I'm gonna plug my phone up.
What was he saying?
He said, "You're not that good to cook."
Anyways, what a hater. You was about to say that? You was about to say that?
because it was like pointing all the way over here and see all this crap on the table. After I moved it. I'll put it on the side.
Are you still on live?
Yeah. Tell people that they can come back in a few minutes. Because the meatballs and the spaghetti cooking. That's the thing, is every time I make it, it ends up being 2 videos. And they don't get to see the end.
So you're there watching it cook?
I told them they can watch it. They can watch. I'll come back in like 7 minutes. See the end of it. Hey guys, I am cooking the meatballs and the sauce, the noodles right now. So they're getting there. I think I have some new watchers. But anyway, so for the meatballs and stuff, I have about 7 minutes or so to go before I can do anything else to them. The meatballs made from about 2 pounds of ground meat. I put this particular batch, I made 1 1/4 pound of ground beef and about 3/4 pounds of ground turkey. I put 2 eggs, salt, pepper, garlic, onion powder, and then I added about 1/4 cup of ketchup, about a tablespoon of mustard, and about 6 or 7 dashes of Worcestershire sauce. And then I had a pepper, an onion, and about 1 1/2 cups of rolled oats, and I put those in the food processor just to kind of puree those onions and peppers and then break up the oatmeal. And then just mix all that up with your hands. So when you do that, make sure you take your rings off. And then I rolled them up about 1.5 inch diameter meatballs. I got a few more I want to add in here. I was waiting for them to cook up a little bit before I added them so that they don't stick together and turn into one meatball. So, making a lot of meatballs. It's the same recipe I use for my meatloaf. Could taste just as good. No, it's my recipe. I don't have anybody to give credit to other than I made it up. So I'm sure most of them are very much the same. I'm gonna wash a few dishes while I was cooking. You see the meatballs are nice and brown, so they're ready to turn over. I mentioned earlier that it's important to not turn them over too soon or they'll just turn into mush. You gotta let them get a good char on one side. Kind of hard to turn them over, but you see they're nice and brown. Nice and brown on one side. Get these cans in the way. Not sticking together, they're all still separate meatballs. They're so good like this. There's brown on them. Alright, they're still not done yet, so just gonna let them get brown on the other side now. Let it cook a little bit longer. Noodles are almost done. I like mine pretty soft. Like I said, in the noodle water, you just need salt. A lot of salt. You don't need any oil. Just put salt in it. Make sure you stir it a few times so it doesn't stick together. Works every time. I'm gonna give the noodles 1 or 2 more minutes, and then the sauce, the meatballs, maybe about 5 or 6 more minutes. I'll add all the sauce. But I'm gonna add. I make my own sauce. It's fried roasted crushed tomatoes. It changes every week. Some whole peeled tomatoes, a big can. A small can of tomato paste. And a can of tomato sauce. That's what's gonna go in the sauce. And Italian seasoning, salt, pepper, garlic. And people say throw the noodle on see if it sticks to the ceiling, see if it's done, but I just taste one. I don't want noodles all over my ceiling. So just get one out and blow it on it. Maybe another minute. These are looking good, sizzling pretty nice. My stove is electric, obviously, so it goes up to 1 to 10, so I have it on 6. Which is kind of high for this stove, but trying to speed this up just a little bit for y'all. So you see how they're holding together pretty good. I mean, oatmeal and the eggs like really make a big difference. If you forget one of those 2 things, it'll probably fall apart. You can use breadcrumbs instead of oatmeal. But like I said, I went gluten-free some years ago, and I'm not gluten-free now, obviously, but I started using oatmeal, and it works pretty good. I just stuck with it. I'm gonna drain my noodles. I add a stick of butter to my noodles so they don't stick. I'm not putting it on the same burner because I don't want to burn the noodles. It's probably a little over a pound of noodles, so I'm use all a stick of butter. what that meant. Meatballs are almost ready to add the sauce. I use a very lean meat. It doesn't have a lot of fat. And then the oatmeal also absorbs a lot of that fat and broth. There's no liquid in this pan, which is good. If you're not sure if they're done, you can just cut one open, check it. You can usually tell how tender by how soft they are. Some of these I added in a little bit later, so I know a few of them are not done yet. You can cook in your sauce. I don't recommend cooking the meatballs in your sauce first because it just does something weird to your sauce, so cook the meatballs first. I like that little brown, I like the brown char on the meatballs too. So, we can check one real quick. Let's check this one. And, oops, it looked done. Maybe you can see it. I don't even know where it is in the video. There it is. Looks done. So I'm gonna add my sauce. I'm gonna turn the heat down a little bit. Down to like a medium, a low medium, and I'm gonna add my sauce. I have 5 roasted tomatoes, fresh tomatoes. Tomato sauce. These are regular size cans, 15 ounce. My whole tomatoes, which I'll pour the sauce off. Whole tomatoes are tricky. Actually, I'm gonna put in my tomato paste real quick, and then I'll do my whole tomatoes. 1 small can of tomato paste. Some people don't like tomato paste, but I like thick sauce, so I add tomato paste. I also like the tastes. Alright, so my crushed tomatoes, whole tomatoes, I have to crush them by hand. So I hold this pan up in front of me so I don't squirt all over myself, because it always goes everywhere. Yeah. I was doing this the other day and it went all the way to the cabinet 5 foot away. So this gives you like, without actually having fresh tomatoes, this gives you the best fresh tomato taste you can get next to fresh. So these are whole peeled tomatoes. So they still got the seeds. They're all the juice. They're good. This is a big can of whole tomatoes, by the way. So just squish them in your hands. I do try to poke a little hole in them first to get the juice out, and then squeeze them. You know, break them up so they don't squirt so bad. Just a couple more. You hear it squirting. Hitting that pan, the other burner, it was hot still. Doing pretty good so far though. Alright, that's the whole can. Wash my hands off. Alright, let's add our seasoning. So we got some Italian seasoning. Add a couple tablespoons in there. Probably need more than that. salt, pepper, and garlic. If your sauce tastes really tomatoey, like you taste the acid, you just need to add a little more salt. Trick my mama told me a long time ago. Garlic is up to you, how much you want to put in it, if you put any at all, but it doesn't taste the same without it. Some pepper. Fresh basil would be good too. I have some in my garden, but it's not looking too good, so. Go ahead. I like to add a little sugar too, so. I have to add like maybe a couple tablespoons. Just, I don't know why, it just gives it a really good flavor. It's not coming out that fast, so. Just kind of accentuates some of the flavors in here. Alright, stir this up real good. Almost done. I know it's a really long video, so a lot of people logged off. I want everybody to be able to see the ending too, so. You can always watch it again. Fast forward. I will also download this to YouTube, edit it and YouTube it. But I will put the link to YouTube and my blog for the recipe, so you can watch it and get the recipe anytime you want. I do. I have a YouTube channel. It is under TAYLAL23. It's not much on there, just a couple of cooking videos. I can't see you unless you get way over here. It's hot.
I don't want to anyway.
There's Layla.
Where's the plates?
They're over there. They're over there. Bench. Alright, I don't know, but yeah, this sauce is looking pretty good. Really thick the way I like it. If you have too much, which I probably do, you can always freeze it.
Freeze it?
Yeah, you can freeze leftover sauce. Freezer bags.
Excuse me.
You're on my video burping. Yes, lady.
Still? Oh.
I'm still alive.
You're alive? Of course you're alive.
Hey Kim, you can make spaghetti and meatballs because look how fast that was. I made this in about 40 minutes. And that's including all this time everybody had to watch the meatballs cook. So, it's good to let that simmer for a few minutes so the flavors kind of, you know, whatever you call it, seep out, get into everything. It's also a good idea to taste it initially. Taste it for that acidic taste. If it's acidic, add more salt. If you like more sugar, add more sugar. Or Italian, garlic, whatever you like. Tastes pretty good. I don't need to change anything. They're blowing out a lot. Take the spoon, silly. Blowing out a lot. Don't do too hard, be all over the floor. Does anybody have any questions while we wait? I'm pretty much done. So, it's meatballs and sauce. And noodles with lots of butter on them. And we're done. I'll take a pic. You might have questions before I log off. Alrighty. Thanks for watching.
Bye bye.
Bye, y'all. Thanks. Bye.